Hey, I'm Zach McDonald, your real estate agent with Real Property Associates, and today's video we are going to review a news article that was published in Komo 4 News here recently. And in this article, they titled it $105,000 income needed to buy the median home in the Seattle area. The article starts off essentially stating that same fact, and they include, in this Seattle area stat, they include King County, Pierce County, and Snohomish County. So we're talking about Seattle, Bellevue, Tacoma area, and all the way up north to places like Edmonds, Snohomish, things like that. And this is an article that was originally, it's kind of piggybacking off of an article on a website called hsn.com. They're a mortgage-based company in California. They then add on to that layer, so then they talk about the median home in the Seattle, Tacoma, Bellevue market being $489,600, and that's a fourth quarter 2018, and that's a National Association of Realtors stat. I'm going to quickly go through this article before we get to my thoughts. They also then say, you know, if you can't put 20% down, you're actually going to need to spend $122,000 roughly to buy a house. But let's focus on that $105,000 number because that's their main number. Seattle, out of all the large cities in the US here on their study, was 7th most expensive in the US, and that's behind San Jose. San Jose actually was leading at $255,000 roughly. If you didn't make $255,000 a year, you couldn't afford the median house in San Jose, which is approximately $1.25 million, according to the National Association of Realtors study. And then San Francisco was number 2 at $198,900, almost $200,000. So just putting that in perspective, there's a lot of room for growth is how I look at it for the Seattle area. We could almost double if we wanted to, and we still wouldn't even be caught up to the San Jose area. What's interesting when we talk about the expensive part of living in the Seattle area and Seattle in general is I think we focus on the top numbers and the salaries that are required to make those payments, but we don't necessarily do all the math. And so I did a little math, chicken scratch, I wrote down, and I just broke down, okay, what's the median income? What's the median sales price? And then what's the ratio between the incomes and the sales price, median sales price of the house? Because that's going to show us, okay, comparatively, in Seattle versus some of these other places, well, how much of your income does it actually take to buy a house? And I'm going to focus on Seattle and then the nation in general. So in Seattle, the Seattle area, right, we're talking about King County, Snohomish County, Pierce County, the region, the median income for a homeowner or needed to buy a house, $105,000, right, with 20% down payment. And then using the National Association of Realtors median sales price, $489,600. It's going to cost you about 4.65 times your income to buy a house. So that median income, it's going to cost about 4.65 times that. Now, looking at the U.S. as a whole, you can actually use the same exact study. So the HSN study and the National Association of Realtors statistic, you have $61,453 as your income, median income to buy a house, and then the U.S. median sales price, $257,600, and the home price to median income ratio, we're at 4.19. So in the Seattle area, it's going to cost you about 4.65 times your income, according to the median numbers, to buy a house. In the rest of the country, we're looking about 4.19. So in general, it's really not that far off base. The Seattle area is more expensive. Incomes are higher. It does take more of an income to buy a house in Seattle, but the average person's also making more of an income. So just looking at those numbers, those ratios really aren't that far off as I'm looking at them. Now in Seattle alone, the rolling kind of median sales price over the last 12 months is about $706,000 for residential homes. And the average income, according to the most recent census data that we have, is about $121,000 for a family in Seattle. So that's approximately 5.83 times that income to buy the median house in Seattle. So in the city of Seattle, and I bet Bellevue is similar, maybe even a little more, but it is more expensive if you're in the big city versus the general metro area to buy a house. But as far as living in the Seattle metro area, it's really not that much more expensive, taking into consideration that the average person makes more to buy a house in the area. And I think that's really, really what I wanted to point out, is that the Seattle area, people are talking about, man, it's so expensive, can't afford a house. And there definitely is that pressure. People feel that. And that's why people have been moving farther outside of the city. But in general, it's not that much more expensive to buy a house here than it is in the rest of the country. So those are my thoughts for today. We'll have another one of these news breakdowns for you here soon. If you did find value in this content, I'd really appreciate if you'd subscribe to my channel. We'll have a lot more videos related to the Seattle real estate market, as well as Seattle real estate market updates that I do on a monthly basis. I hope to see you around here soon. Until then, bye for now.